This is Christopher, aka Topher from Crackin Wax, and you're listening to the Trading Card Preservation Society.
Previously on the Trading Card Preservation Society.
Next is Scully and Mulder entering a door to a really dark, creepy room. Then we get a second...
That could have been just an outtake from the X-Files series.
Exactly. That could be from season 3.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no telling.
Okay, I call this meeting of the Trading Card Preservation Society order. Matt F. here today from heartbreakingcards.com. Dave, the cardboard junkie, is a working stiff today, so he is not here, but I am not alone on the podcast today. We are going to try something new. We're going to start an interview series on the podcast, a sort of like a better know your blogger type thing, in which we interview trading card bloggers and people who are involved in the trading card industry, what's left of it. And today we begin with the king of the charity group breaks, let's call him. He has raised over $5,000 for charity through his group breaks on his website. He's been a card blogger since 2008 and a huge Minnesota Twins fan. Let's welcome Christopher from Crackin Wax.
Hey, my pleasure to be here. I didn't realize it was going to be your first.
Yes, you're our first.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you feel...
End of interview.
Yes, right. Can you handle the pressure?
Right.
Okay, so now you started off in 2008 as a card blogger, and since then you've sort of moved into strictly group breaks. Am I right, mainly?
It's turned out that way. And it wasn't so much that I was, shying away from one, leaning towards another. It all had to do basically with amount of time. I mean, I like to write. I do enjoy it. But it kind of had more to do with time that I had to devote to another thing that I do, varsity trading cards, which is something I kind of talk about on the blog. It's been a side project, but I'm kind of developing more into a not a time waster, but like my job now. So that's what's been taking up my time from writing. Breaks has been keeping me actually in the hobby. I want to stay a member of the hobby as much as I can. So that's why I've been kind of doing charity breaks, staying in touch with people on Twitter and things like that. That keeps me on my blog too. If I'm not writing, I'm at least posting something about the breaks anyway.
Well, how did you come to the idea for charity breaks? I mean, there are breaks all over, that are not for charity, that are very popular, but yours seems to be, for a good cause. Why did you decide to focus on that?
Well, it all started with really small box breaks. I'd been in breaks before, and I just thought that was such a cool and unique way to collect. And this was back in like 06, 07 when I first got back into collecting. I wanted to try it myself, and I just found myself needing creative ways to fill my breaks. They just weren't successful because, no one knew who the heck I was, and breaks were new at the time. I started doing a thing that Dave knows. You might even know, Boba Bingo, Boxbusters Bingo.
Sure.
And, that was filling them up a little bit better, and then I started doing more of those smaller box breaks, and I started feeling guilty. Like I felt like I was opening other people's birthday gifts or Christmas presents. And it turned out,
yes.
And I'm not breaking to make any money. So it just seemed like the natural solution was to do this for charity. That charity seemed to bring more collectors in, like, oh, well, he's doing this for a good reason. Let's get in on this. And, in order for me to make any sort of money, I'd have to be, a big, not just card breaker, but it seems like a lot of the card shop owners are the ones that are breaking a lot these days. So unless you're like Brent Williams, who does his breaks on eBay, I just didn't feel like, especially when I'm, doing the, trying to write and trying to do varsity trading cards, the money that I am taking in should just go somewhere else, go somewhere good.
And so who do you donate to?
Well, I'd like to split it up to other organizations. Like last year, I did for the first time St. Baldrick's. I've also done MLB RBI. But I've donated most of my money, especially this year, to Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that charity is really close to us. My wife, who some of my breakers or people that break with me know as LQ or Little Quirk, she was actually Big Sister of the Year for the state of Minnesota, so she's involved with that
Oh, wow.
organization. Yeah.
And so, how do people, if they want to get involved, how do they join your group breaks?
Well, the easiest thing is either number one, you sign up for our mailing list just by going to the blog, crackinwax.wordpress.com, going to the Crackin Wax Case Breaks menu and hitting that group breaks mailing list and signing up for that. You'll get an email before anyone else saying, hey, my break is open, get yourself a spot. Or just wait for the break to be posted live on the blog and find your team. And all you have to do is click a link and pay for your spot. I ship you your cards, all of the cards, hits or no.
Yeah. And so, your upcoming break in about a week, right, is 2015 Topps Chrome.
This Saturday, actually, yeah.
Yeah. And so this episode will be up by the time, before then, so they maybe can hear this and get involved. So,
yeah.
How does it work per team, basically?
Yeah, so the way I do it is it's all by team. I know some breakers like to do random teams. I kind of stick with the tried and true basic. You find your team that you like, and it's yours. And we've got a good amount of teams still available yet. I'm actually giving 3 away after we sell them all off too. So, let's say you like the White Sox, for instance, and if they're still there, you just click on it, and it's yours.
Right, and so you can actually win one of those free spots. Now, if I remember correctly, let's see, you got to go to Twitter, right? You're at Crackin Wax, and that's no G in there, just Crackin Wax.
Yeah, that's total slang. All Kraken.
And you need to basically post a tweet about the group break with a link that's on.
Yep, so I've got that.
Right?
It's a longer link. I'm not going to spout it all.
Right, yeah.
But, include my Twitter handle and include the break link. Just promote it, and that enters you for a chance at up to 3 of those free spots that I'm giving away for the Chrome break.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Now, you feel like you're opening someone's Christmas presents.
Yeah.
What's the best card, or what's the greatest thing that you've pulled from these boxes you've opened?
I feel like the word best is kind of subjective to the person.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just go with what I felt was the most memorable cards that I've pulled for me, just based on my reactions. So a couple years back, Allen and Ginter had this thing where they were hiding glossy cards in the lid. And the day that I did my Allen Ginter charity case break, Brent had just figured it out.
Oh, yeah?
Because he had cut through a couple of them on accident.
Oh.
And so that was all the Twitter rage. So I'm just like, and he had said that they weren't being seeded like one per case or anything like that. They were pretty rare. So I didn't think I was going to pull any at all. About halfway through the break, I actually pulled the Babe Ruth 1/1 glossy card. So that to me was a memorable one.
Yeah.
Another one was this year I pulled my first Hank Aaron autograph, and it was out of a museum. So you pull a guy like that, and how many more autographs is the guy going to sign? You kind of remember it. So to me, yeah, it might not be the best for someone else, but to me that was the most memorable. And to wrap that up, I don't know if you know this, you being a Twins fan yourself, I haven't pulled any Twins hits from 2008 until this year.
Seriously?
I went that dry. On Twins.
Oh,
Suddenly, okay, I had my wife jump in and do a break, and suddenly she's pulling Twins hits. She pulled me a Miguel Sano autograph.
Wow.
The next one I do, I pull a Mauer 1/1 jumbo relic. I'm pulling nothing but Kenneth Vargas hits now. It's weird.
Yeah, you should do the math on how many cases that was or how many boxes that was.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
was
my
on
gosh.
that's why I started taking the twin spots myself because I'm like, you know what? No one's gonna want this. They're gonna get twin sets.
That's fun. And so those hits went to. I mean, they went out to the whoever had those spots, right? I mean, those are some amazing pulls from your group breaks that you can possibly find.
Yep,
Um, okay, so you mentioned
exactly.
your company, Varsity Trading Cards. That's basically you design trading cards. Is that right?
That's exactly what I do, and that all stemmed from I have a degree in graphic design, and my father-in-law was actually the one that kind of put two and two together, and he says, you know, you collect baseball cards, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're a graphic designer. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you design baseball cards? I'm like, doy.
Yes, right. Staring
Pretty
right
much.
here in the face, bud.
Yeah, but and it seemed like the one niche that hadn't really been perfected yet was the high school sports
Hmm.
aspect. I mean, I've got a trading card from high school, but it was, you know, the photographer would come to the field, take your picture, and the next week
Yeah.
you'd have an actual printed Kodak photo with,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the branding on the back and then a sticker
Yeah.
slapped on the back for you to write your name, you know. So I felt like, okay, it's time to do something a little bit more than what even Topps does on their site, where you can do that, but it's still not like
Right.
you've ripped it out of a pack, you know, which is what I'm going for. So what we do is we design professionally produced trading cards for high school sports teams. Right now, we're currently undergoing a relaunch. We're moving to a more streamlined online experience so that the coaches and parents or
Oh
whoever's
wow,
doing it
that's
can
cool.
just do it all right from their laptop at the game or from their tablet or their phone. Yeah. And I'm also exploring options to hopefully one day become a nonprofit.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, this is sort of like for high school teams and or amateur teams that want to have their own trading card. I remember I had my own as a little league player with, but just as you said, it was just basically a photograph with a sticker on the back. Um,
Yep.
but that's cool. So how like creating a new card, like how or a new design, like how much time does that take? I mean, how labor intensive? I mean, do you get as to creating the new designs?
Well, it's just like with really any design task that a designer would have. You come with an idea in your head, you sketch out some ideas, and you know maybe you'll have a eureka aha moment. Maybe it'll take you a
Hmm.
few days, and you kind of like cross off the ones that look good, and until you have actually get it on the screen and kind of laid out. I mean, I had to like put up a bunch of them a few years ago for people to pick for me just because I've was staring at it so long. And I'm like, these all suck. Someone else tell me what looks good. Um, and then, you know, you get through the whole tweaking process. I would say that, you know, for me at least, it could be from 2 weeks to a month until I'm satisfied anyway. And I'm my own worst critic too. So,
Hmm. Now you even designed relic cards for your breaks of yourself, right? Is that right?
yeah.
I've seen those floating around on Twitter
Yeah, I
and
mean, that's a, you know,
people who got their cards. I mean, was that is it designing like a physical relic card is a little more difficult than a standard, you know, standard trading card?
uh, it's it's a little more labor intensive unless you have the setup like like Topps or Panini does, where it's just
Right.
all automated, you know.
Yeah.
But I've got it down now. Well, I started years ago trying to do it at home by myself. I targeted actually Pat Neshek because
Hmm.
he's such a good
Oh yeah.
autograph uh, guy to go get through the
Yes.
mail. I mean, he'll sign anything. He'll sign your birth certificate for you if you wanted. So I
Yeah. If you sorry if you don't know, he was a former Twins reliever who basically you send him a card. You how does it work? You send him a card of himself. Well,
well,
you send him. I forget what. How does it work? He wants other cards, and he'll send you
yeah.
back his card.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
trade him for his autograph, or you can just send him something for him to
yeah,
sign. I mean, that he doesn't really care. I mean, he says he has rules for it because he doesn't want to get a bunch of
yeah.
junk
Right.
mail, you know. But
Hmm.
he's awesome about it. So and I'm like, well, hey, you know, yeah, I could get his regular card autograph, but I mean, he hasn't seen one of these before, so
Yes, right.
so I tried experimenting with like you know different card
Hmm.
stocks, and I even used old Topps baseball cards to glue them together to kind of
Sure.
stiffen them up. And he actually returned one torn up. He's like, I wanted to see how you did this, and he like destroyed his own card.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean that's where that all started. Now that I've kind of been working with Varsity Trading Cards and have the printing process, actually, I use a vendor now. I don't print at home, obviously, with the volume that we do. They ship back to me what I've designed. I take my custom hole punch, I punch that out, and I'm basically taking my T-shirt with my logo on it, cutting a bunch of squares out of that, and assembling it all. And after that, I sign them, and then if you're lucky enough to, and I'm saying that with a wink.
Yes.
You can't see my wink if you're wink lucky enough.
And so you used a Crackin Wax T-shirt. I was wondering what the patch or.
Yeah, I had one made up,
Oh.
and it wasn't meant for that at first. I was just doing that so that when I was on camera and had, people had never seen me before, they'd at least see my logo on my chest. Then I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not on camera. The cards are. Let's do something else with this.
Did you get some plain white ones? Some plain white jersey cards?
No,
Oh.
I felt like, if I was going to do this, we were going to do it up special.
Yes.
You know, one or two colors per card.
You can't disappoint your fans.
The two or three that I have, yep.
Okay, so like I said, sort of how we got to know each other was through, blogging about the Twins.
Yep.
And you went to a game on Saturday, you told me.
Yes. Yes.
Are they going to pull it out this year, do you think? Are they going to get a wild card?
Oh, you know what?
Knock on wood.
I will be okay. At the beginning of the
Yes.
year, when they had that rough stretch against the Tigers, I was all like, okay, this is going to be the worst season they've ever had. And then
Yeah.
next year, they'll figure it out. And then they started having a little success. But then things for the past 3 months have kind of gone downhill again. I'm back
Yeah.
on they'll be lucky if they finish 500. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, I was so certain when they started out and they didn't score a run for the first 3 games.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Something like that.
Just like I was sort of like, oh my gosh, we're going way low this year, but I'm pleasantly surprised. Hopefully I'll be up there in Minnesota in a few weeks. Hopefully I can catch a game. And if you've never
Yeah.
gone to a game in Minnesota, if you're especially a night game, bring your coat. It's going to be a chilly one.
Yeah.
So who do you collect of the Twins? Are you an all Twins sort of collector, or do you just do specific players?
Yeah, I've whittled it down over the years. Of course, when I was a kid, I was a fan of Kirby Puckett, Herbeck, Gaetti, all those guys, and I collected absolutely everything.
Sure.
And it got out of hand, as you could imagine. And then I got out of it because it got out of hand.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of people my age, kind of got curious about it and started buying Twins cards again, and then it got out of hand again, which is I'm like, well, why didn't I see that coming? So like, okay, let's step back a second here and try to make this more reasonable. And now I find myself just collecting Twins prospect and rookie autograph cards strictly. I mean, like I know I buy my own Twin spots just to save people from having to collect the Twins, but having a Byron Buxton autograph is pretty cool.
How many do you have?
Just the one.
Just one?
And I didn't even pull that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny.
But I mean, it keeps the collection way more reasonable, and and all those autographs, they sure look pretty next to each other.
And it might be an investment. I mean, if you're ever going to actually have an investment in baseball cards, it seems to be prospect autographs.
Yeah. I'm not really into the investment part,
Oh, really?
aspect of it. I mean, if I were an investor, I wouldn't be collecting Twins rookie
That's
autographs. Number one.
Funny. Do you collect any other players non-Twins?
I had for a moment considered getting into Packers because I am a Packers fan as well. But I think it's a little bit too late to hop on the Rogers and Lacey autograph rookie card bandwagon. I think those are a little overpriced.
Yeah, don't.
Out of my price range.
Although you're a Twins fan, don't ever mention the Vikings, right?
Well, that's my family's fault. Half of them are from Wisconsin, the other half are from Minnesota. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. I grew up in western Wisconsin, and so I was logically a Twins fan because as I was growing up, they were in the World Series and winning, and so many memorable players. But for some reason, I never would consider being a Vikings fan. Maybe I just support winners. I don't know. I just got on the bandwagon, I guess. So I would always support the Packers. So, well, thanks for sitting down with us. So again, to sign up for your breaks, go to crackinwax.wordpress.com, and you can sign up for their newsletter and and tweet about the upcoming break to maybe win a spot.
Yep, nothing's better than free cards if you ask me.
Yes. And if you're interested, if you got a sports team that wants some trading cards, or some high school players that want it, that's varsitytradingcards.com. Is that right?
Yes, send them all to me.
Yes. Cool. Anything else you want to add, or anything else you'd like to plug?
No, just I'm just sad that Dave isn't here. I mean,
Sorry. I
I actually have a funny Dave story,
yes,
just a real
please.
quick one from when I started doing box breaks. So this is before I started doing charity case breaks. I did a boba bingo, and he actually bought into one of them.
Yeah.
He got Braves, of course, and I made a mistake. I shipped his card somewhere else.
Oh no.
And so in return, he drew for me a kind of My Little Pony inspired sketch of me wearing my Twins hat with my eyes crossed and my goatee and my hands up in the air with a bunch of question marks around me, like, I don't know what I'm doing. No, I do, Dave. I know what I'm doing now, sir.
So were the cards gone forever, basically?
No, we figured out where they went, and I
Oh,
paid
you
for the
figured it out?
shipping
Okay.
back, and yeah, I never made that mistake again. That's why I've got my fancy little spreadsheet that teaches me. Yeah, we're good now.
Yeah, I think I've got a Dave Ponies sketch card of, I think he's wearing a Packers helmet. So yeah. Chat with Dave, maybe you'll get a Ponies card.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks again for sitting down with us and being our premier guest.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes. Thank you again.
Oh, thanks for having me.